Right now, you're getting a first look at former Hartford police officer Joseph Magnano, who was formally arraigned today. Magnano is charged in the shooting death of Stevie Jones. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm Annette Montgomery. Today, questions about police use of force, accountability, and officer support were all on display in Hartford. And that's where we find Fox 61's Alicia Hercules to break down why today's hearing drew such a large response.
It was a busy day both inside and outside of the courthouse. The Hartford Police Department packed out the courtroom as former officer Joseph Magnano was arraigned. Members of the NAACP and the president of the Hartford Police Union were also in attendance.
The state is not looking for any modifications.
Former Hartford Police Officer Joseph Magnano's court appearance was brief, but his supporters were outside long before and after he entered the courtroom. One of his supporters, Sergeant James Rutkowski, is president of the Hartford Police Union. He says Magnano has their full support.
He believes that what he did was defended himself and the citizens and the other officers.
He also criticized the Inspector General and the warrant in the case.
The law enforcement community here is asking that their proper authorities investigate this warrant, and an ethics committee, judicial ethics committee, reviews that warrant also.
Magnano was charged with manslaughter in the first degree after the Inspector General ruled he was not justified in the shooting death of 55-year-old Stevie Jones. In February, police were called to Blue Hills Avenue after Jones's sister reported Jones was having a mental health crisis. He had cut himself and already had a knife in his hand. When officers arrived, body cam footage shows he walked onto the sidewalk where he began walking towards the officers. Jones was asked by the responding officers to drop the knife several times as they attempted to calm Jones down. According to the Inspector General report, Magnano arrived on scene 5 minutes after the first officer's arrival. He shouted for Jones to drop the knife before firing 9 shots at Jones. He died from his injuries days later. Hartford Mayor Arunan Arlampalam fired Magnano in late March. The Hartford Police Union later filed a grievance against the city for wrongful termination. Some of those officers filled the seats in the courtroom during Magnano's hearing. Evelise Correa Brown, a member of Black Lives Matter 860, says the sight was disappointing.
Hartford police jammed the seats in the courtroom, and it was as if they were trying to block out supporters that came in for Stevie Jones.
Corey Betts, the Hartford NAACP president, says they just want the former officer to be held accountable for his actions.
Today is about accountability, truth, and the value of Stevie Jones and other humans in our city.
Magnano is free on a $50,000 bond. He is expected back in court on July 21st. In Hartford, Alicia Hercules, Fox 61.
Michelle Troconis is now requesting a state judge grant her permission to appeal the denial of her habeas petition. Troconis filed it yesterday, and in it she argues the court got it wrong when it rejected claims that her trial attorney provided ineffective assistance. This is in regard to the Jennifer Dulos death case. She also claims the judge relied on unsupported facts and unreliable testimony from key witnesses. In the petition, Troconis wants the court to certify an appeal so those issues can be reviewed by a higher court. Right now, Hartford police are investigating a shooting this afternoon that sent one woman to the hospital. Investigators say she was shot once near Park Street at Park Terrace, and officers met her at the hospital just after 2:30. At this time, police have not released the extent of her injuries. Tonight, we're now learning new details about a shooting in Milford that left one person dead and another recovering from injuries on Wednesday. Fox 61's Jamel Johnson shares more information on what happened.
On a street where neighbors say is quiet, peaceful, and private, the unthinkable happened. A deadly home invasion that left one man dead and another woman who's been on this street for decades in the hospital. East Boulevard Street mostly looks the same as it did before the deadly home invasion. One big change, however, is the increased police patrolling in the neighborhood. Milford Police Chief Keith Mello says it's a temporary but necessary step.
While our patrol division is increasing its presence in your neighborhood, these extra patrols are deployed solely for your support and to reassure our residents.
Early Wednesday morning, 69-year-old Sandra Cooper called 911, telling police that 2 men had entered her home. Cooper said she was shot once in the head and that the men shot her companion several times. Cooper was taken to the hospital, but the man she was with, Frederick Warner, died on the scene. By the time police got on the scene, the 2 men had already fled.
Based upon evidence that we've gathered within the past 32 hours, we have strong indications that this was a targeted incident and not a random act of violence. Again, we currently have no information to suggest any ongoing threat to the broader community.
We do not know where the suspects may have gone, and police have not released descriptions of them at this time. Police say they are also reviewing information from neighbors. People we spoke with remain shocked by the situation. Jeffrey Blake, who we spoke to on Wednesday, declined to go on camera again Friday, but did say he knew Cooper for years and also knew the man who died.
Sandy's great people. She's owned the house 25, 26 years, and her significant other, Fred, was a good guy too. So this is shocking all the way around.
Very close to home, obviously.
Too close, way too close.
Police Chief Mello says the department will not be releasing any new information at this time. In Milford, Jamel Johnson, Fox 61.
Well, the good news is we're not going to have a washout this weekend, and a lot of the rain is just going to happen Saturday night. And unfortunately, if there's any bad news, we might have a couple of strong storms. So sort of just keep your eye to the sky, say, after 6 o'clock. And you can see 92 tomorrow afternoon and 79 for Sunday as we get turned cooler and less humid. 88, Hartford, 84, Waterbury. Let's check out the Windsor Locks. We're down to 87 from a high of 89 so far, 85 for Willimantic. A little bit cooler along the beaches. Dew Point's comfy, 40s and 50s across the area. Winds basically out of the west, starting to get a sea breeze. Big ridge of high pressure right here. There's our front. That's tomorrow night, basically. So, tonight, partly cloudy to clear, comfy. And tomorrow, hot with the chance for those late evening storms. Pool forecast is fine until you get to around 6, 7 o'clock. Time to get out of the pool and be safe. Temperatures getting into the upper 80s to near 90. Coming up, I'll detail those storms, and we'll talk about Sunday and into next week. And that.
Looking forward to it. Thank you, Sam. Well, after 109 years of service, Taftville Fire Company number 2 is officially out of operation. State marshals served the volunteer fire department an eviction notice yesterday morning, and that forced members to remove all company-owned property from the station. The move comes after a judge approved a request from the city of Norwich to take control of the city-owned firehouse, citing repeated response failures, staffing shortages, and safety concerns. A Norwich career engine is now stationed at the Taftville Firehouse to provide coverage. And the fire chiefs released a statement saying, quote, Taftville believes Chief Wilson and the city committed fraud on the court when Chief Wilson swore to his lawful termination of Taftville and the city's injunction filings, when no such termination notice was ever given to Taftville prior to service of the city's lawsuit alleging the same, end quote. And we have a crew working on the latest developments on this story, and we'll have an update on the Fox 61 News at 10 and 11. And keep in mind, this is now the second volunteer fire department to shut down in Norwich. In February, the Yantic Volunteer Fire Department was suspended. And in talks with Fox 61, they did share concerns about other departments also shutting down. This all centers around a disagreement between the city and the department over terms of a new contract. The department's fire chief said the department was only given 24 hours to look it over, which is the same thing several other fire chiefs, including the one in Taftsville, claim in yesterday's incident. They said city officials gave them less than an hour to review an agreement that would have allowed them to stay. Right now, a delivery driver is in critical condition tonight after he was hit by his own car. It happened around 8 this morning in Naugatuck in the area of Andrew Avenue and Manners Avenue. Police say the 44-year-old man was hit after he got out of his car. Tonight, he's in the hospital in critical but stable condition. A tractor-trailer driver from Texas is now charged with negligent homicide after a deadly crash last September in Westbrook. State police identified the driver as Dwayne Garrison. Troopers say Garrison told them he was adjusting his sun visor when the vehicle hit the concrete barrier on the northbound side of I-95, causing him to slam into the Route 145 overpass. Witnesses told troopers they saw wooden pallets from the tractor trailer fly onto both sides of I-95 and several cars were impacted. We also know one driver was killed as a result. Garrison was charged with negligent homicide with a motor vehicle, weapon in a motor vehicle, and failure to maintain a lane. A Fairfield woman accused of setting her own house on fire faced a judge. McKelly Ross is charged with third-degree arson after investigators say witnesses saw her intentionally set fire to that duplex. Now, that was on Castle Avenue and then drove off. Tonight, investigators are still investigating a motive. A former Stratford High School wrestling coach has been arrested for the second time. This comes after a second victim has now come forward accusing Jordan Myron of sexual assault. Police say that woman, who is now 18, was sexually assaulted when she was 15 and a student at the high school. Last month, a 20-year-old woman reported a similar incident. Myron is in jail tonight on a $200,000 bond.